Good morning, East Africa. It's good to see you this beautiful Wednesday morning. I hope that your day has started on a high note, as it has right here on your world. So welcome to the show. My name is Winnie Lubembe. Now, navigating the world of co-parenting can sometimes be stressful, from coordinating schedules to grappling with different parenting styles, communicating effectively, and, coming to terms with the fact that your ex is still in your life. So, how can parents put aside their differences, work together well for the sake of their children, and how can they stay healthy or set healthy boundaries? Well, that discussion is coming up shortly, but first things first, the day's highlights.
Good morning, everyone.
Editors call on state not to influence coverage on elections. A family's desperate search for an ICU bed in Tana River ends in death. And co-parenting. How can parents put aside their differences, work together well for the sake of their children? We'll delve into that conversation in a few. And also, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres urges peaceful resolve to full-blown conflict. All right, and of course, it's all about co-parenting. So if you are co-parenting, or maybe one day, let's say if something happens, the question that we're asking you today is, what rules would you set if you were to co-parent? Once again, what rules would you set if you were to co-parent? Feel free to interact with us. Send us a tweet at NTV Kenya at Lubembe_Winnie. Remember to use the hashtag YourWorld. Alternatively, give us a call. The numbers will be down on your screen in just a moment so that we can talk about co-parenting, understand some of the dynamics, and how do you make it work. Remember, it's for the sake of the child. So again, the question is, what rules would you set if you were to co-parent? But before we get on with the discussion and, of course, look at what you have to say as far as the topic is concerned, let's take a look at the COVID-19 numbers. Remember, we're still dealing with this pandemic that has affected the entire world. So let's start with the global numbers. And as at now, 415,934,477. This is the total number of confirmed COVID-19 cases, and this is across the globe. And then 338,697,761. This is the total number of recoveries reported as at now across the globe. But unfortunately, 5,856,490 people have lost their lives to COVID-19. But coming back to the country, and according to the Health Ministry, up until now, 322,517. This is the total number of confirmed cases of COVID-19. This is in the country. And then 302,866 people have recovered from the same. But unfortunately, we've lost 5,632 people to COVID-19. Again, like we always say, this is a gentle reminder that COVID-19 is still here with us, so ensure that you observe all the protocols that have been laid aside by the Ministry of Health together with the WHO so that we contain the spread of the virus. But let's take a look at the stories that we have so far. And the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, that is IEBC, has admitted that young people are tired of politics and have cited that this as among the reasons for the low voter registration. Elsewhere, the judiciary has assured Kenyans that they are ready to deal with any election-related disputes, while urging the media to be objective on election coverage. Martin Mwangi with more details.
Good morning, everyone.
The IEBC missed its target after registering just over 1 million new voters against a target of 4.5 million.
Kenyans are facing a lot of challenges. Economic hardships, hopelessness, lack of jobs. The youth have spoken that we need to set out an agenda to address those issues first before they participate.
Meanwhile, journalists and editors have urged the state not to influence media coverage ahead of and during the August general election.
In this season, most of those working very hard to interfere with our newsrooms are the politicians themselves, but also, unfortunately, a number of state agencies. We have seen and heard some state agencies in recent weeks show a growing quest to lord it over journalists. This, I'd like to say, is a direct attack on media freedom.
We've seen situations where journalists have been attacked, where journalists have been barred from accessing the polling stations. And I think this is the discussion, and IBC is here. I think they will tell us how best can we collaborate to ensure that we access the polling stations and we are able to report the election results and the information.
Chief Justice Martha Koome has warned journalists against reporting misleading information.
So this is how we are facing the forthcoming elections in the judiciary without any fear or favor. Telling Kenyans we are prepared to deal with all the disputes that will come.
Despite some of the challenges that some of the election stakeholders are going through, they're assuring Kenyans that they are ready to provide a credible, free, and fair election. Martin Mwangi, NTV, in Nairobi.
Thanks, Mwangi. And efforts to combat malaria and COVID-19 in Kenya will now receive a boost after the Kenya Medical Research Institute has launched the Plasma Check malaria antigen testing kit, as well as the ChemCov PCR testing kits. Now, the kits, which are locally manufactured, are said to be 100% sensitive and specific, as one will be able to get their results between 10 minutes after testing. The Ministry of Health has lauded this as a milestone for the health sector, as the malaria case burden stands at 3.5 million, with 10,700 deaths reported annually. The kits will also help in terms of cost, as Kenya has been importing the antigen testing kits, thus creating over-reliance. The kits will be distributed through KEMSA across to health facilities.
The market price for the product that Kemri will be putting on the market is about 60 shillings for one test kit, whereas the market price for most of these other products is about 300 shillings a kit. This is the COVID-19 PCR test that you hear about. If you have gone to a private institution, you know that you will have coughed up anything from 8,000 to 12,000 to do that test. Kemri's product, which is just as good as any of the other products, is going to cost 1,500 shillings per test.
And elsewhere, the lack of enough functioning intensive care units in the country has come to the fore again after a man who needed critical care in Tana River County died due to lack of ICU services. Kevin Mutai reports on the family's desperate efforts to save their kin.
Hii ndio shahidi. Kaburi munaiona hii.
This is the grave where 67-year-old Hussein Hassan was buried following his death 3 days ago. The family blames his death on the lack of crucial facilities at the Hola Referral Hospital in Tana River County. They say Hassan, who had been operated on 11 months ago due to a growth in his stomach, fainted and was rushed to Hola. The doctors there operated on him, but later realized that his condition was crucial and he needed to be admitted to the intensive care unit.
Madaktari walipiga Mombasa, Kilifi, Garissa, haikuweza kubatikana. Baka baadaye wakasema mahali inaweza batikana ICU ni Mmero, sehemu ya Chokoria. Mimi nimeweza kutoka saa 11 asubuhi hapa na brother yangu na familia wengine. Hiyo distance ni umbali. Ile oxygen tulikuwa nayo kutoka Tana River iliishia njiani. Tukaweza kuomba Bale, nikakimbilia Bale Matu, nikaomba usaidizi. Wale wakatusaidia na hiyo oxygen wakatufungia, lakini kufikia Embu brother yangu aliaga na akaenda duniani. Kwa hivyo yote ni ukosefu ya vifaa muhimu ambao haina hospitali Hola.
Upon reaching Embu, Hassan lost the battle after running out of oxygen.
Sisi tulikuwa na mapato kidogo. Tukasaidiana, tukachukua ambulance, tukalipia na tukaenda mpaka Embu ambao to and fro ni kilomita 800. Je, wale hawawezi wanaweza fika hiyo mahali na waweze kusaidika? Ombi letu priority ya county government ya Tana River iwekwe sawa
Mimi nina wasiwasi kama huyu amekufa, hata mimi kesho nitakufa. Kwa kesho nitakufa kwa sababu sina huduma nyingine hapo mbele natarajia kwa pesa ya devolution ya wilaya Tana River ya hospitali ya headquarter kabisa.
Locals depend on the neighboring counties of Garissa, Mombasa and Kilifi for high dependency and intensive care units, according to data from the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council. COVID-19 inspections revealed that there are 503 ICU beds in the country. 305 facilities were inspected, out of which 172 are inactive. The county executive member for health, Javan Bonaya, told NTV on phone that a budget has been allocated in this financial year for the construction of ICU and HDU.
Hospitali iko underfunded. Wanapewa 1.3 billion pesa zao na 900 million ni mishahara ya madaktari. So ile pesa ambazo zinabaki ni pesa kidogo ambazo hatuwezi kuzigawanya kwa development na operation and maintenance.
Hassan has left behind a widow and 6 children. Kevin Mutai, NTV in Mombasa.
Indeed, we hope that something will be done to ensure that we have some of these essential services in hospitals. But aside from that, weeks after Kenya and the United Arab Emirates softened relations and lifted travel bans, Kenya is looking to reassert its footprint in the region. President Uhuru Kenyatta is in the United Arab Emirates, a visit expected to pursue the unlocking of new avenues for bilateral ties and boost Kenya's trade flows into the region. Tourism Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala is also leading a delegation of officers to market Kenya as a tourist and investment destination at the Kenya Week event at the Dubai Expo. The one-week-long focus on Kenya from 14th to 18th February 2022 will see Kenya honored as one of the over 190 countries participating in the expo that brings together about 190 countries from across the globe.
His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, will be expected in Dubai on the 14th of February 2022 for a working visit to attend to a number of engagements. The President will be engaged in a number of activities while he is here. On the 15th of February 2022, the President will be attending the high-level business forum, which has been organized by the Ministry of Trade, and be able to meet businessmen and investors who will be able to do business with Kenya.
And elsewhere, after the killing of 4 Senegalese soldiers, Casamance rebels have released 7 soldiers at the Gambia-Senegal border. The 3-week detainment of the Senegalese soldiers was as a result of a clash between fighters from the Movement of Democratic Forces of Casamance and the Senegalese army that happened on January 24th. Senegal's military said the incident occurred during an operation to combat illegal logging on the border with Gambia. However, in a statement by MFDC leader Salif Sadio, Senegalese soldiers stationed in the Gambia had crossed the border and attacked his bases in Casamance. ECOWAS came to the rescue of the soldiers through its pursuit to maintain peace in the Western Bloc and spearheaded a peaceful sitting between the two countries, which brought to them agreeing that no ransom was to be paid to Gambia and intrusion by Senegalese forces on Gambian land would not be tolerated. And thousands of Liberians celebrated the 200th year anniversary of the birth of the West African state with a mass rally in the capital, Monrovia. Founded in 1822 by former United States of America slaves, Liberia became a republic in 1857, becoming Africa's first state. Thousands of Liberians dressed in white paraded towards a stadium in the suburbs of the capital for an official celebration. President George Weah is due to attend the celebrations alongside leaders from neighboring countries. The government is also planning to hold events throughout this year to celebrate the bicentenary now, and is also hoping to attract members of the Liberian diaspora as well as Black Americans. Now, the U.S.-Canada border has been reopened after days of blockade. The week-long closure had been as a result of an impending protest by Canadian truckers against the implemented vaccine mandate. The truckers expressed their disapproval to the mandatory COVID-19 vaccine requirement to cross the border between Canada and the United States and called on the government to bring to an end to all COVID-19 health measures. However, as the ongoing protest entered the third week, the Prime Minister, that is Justin Trudeau, on Monday fired back by threatening to invoke the rarely used emergency powers as established in the Emergency Act to give the government extra powers in a national crisis to bring an end to the trucker-led protests. And the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has come out strongly to advocate for diplomacy to bring an end to the military standoff between Russia and Ukraine. Guterres on Monday held conversations with both Russia and Ukraine's foreign ministers in an effort to foster dialogue between the two nations.
There is a concerted effort in the West to step up diplomatic interventions with Russia as the U.S. maintains the Federation could invade Ukraine's territory anytime.
President Biden spoke today with Prime Minister Boris Johnson of the United Kingdom. The leaders discussed their recent diplomatic engagements with Ukraine and Russia. They also reviewed ongoing diplomatic and deterrence efforts in response to Russia's continued military buildup on Ukraine's borders and reaffirmed their support for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Russia, however, maintains that it is merely carrying out drills on Ukraine's border with Belarus, with their defense minister stating that some were ending and more would end in the near future. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres made his voice heard on the matter on Monday when he held calls with both Russia and Ukraine's foreign ministers.
Abandoning diplomacy for confrontation is not a step over a line, it is a dive over a cliff. In short, my appeal is this: do not fail the cause of peace.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz is on Tuesday scheduled to engage the Kremlin as part of diplomatic efforts to broker a cessation of hostilities. Germany, which is dependent on Russia's natural gas imports, is heavily invested in a peaceful resolution to the crisis. But in a meeting with Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky, Scholz voiced support for Ukraine's independence and territorial integrity.
All right, let's shift focus and the discussion of the day. It's all about co-parenting. And of course, we'll all admit that co-parenting, it's not an easy task, okay? And the fact that you have to deal with so many things, making sure that your schedules actually align. There's also aspect of boundaries. How do you set boundaries? And we just want to understand from you, that is through the question of the day. And that is, what rules would you set if you were to co-parent? Once again, what rules would you set if you were to co-parent? Feel free to interact with us on Twitter, that is on our socials, Twitter, Facebook, and remember to use the hashtag #YourWorld. We just want to understand what rules would you set if you were to co-parent, and if you are co-parenting right now, right? What are some of the rules that you've set to make sure that everything works? You know, you take care of your child, both of you, despite your differences, and of course, how do you set these healthy boundaries? We just want to understand that and much more, and also just figure out the whole dynamics of co-parenting, and does it really work without having to put your emotions, you know, as far as parenting is concerned. So it's a lot. I have so many questions, but of course our panel of the day is here to help us with the conversation. So just close to me is Ivy Sambigi, which one? Sambigi, love that. Okay, that is Administrator, Divine Mercy Wellness Center. Thank you very much, Ivy, for coming by today. And then we also have Moses Okuku Okinyo, who's a fitness trainer. Thank you very much for making time for us this morning. And we also have Wanjiru Mbogori, who is a therapist. Thank you very much for coming by as well. It's so good to see you once again, Wanjiru. And of course, nice to meet you, Moses and Ivy. Now, we have a lot to talk about. It's a lot. But Wanjiru, can we just start with the basics of parenting? Right? And then, excuse me, we'll come back to understand Moses and Ivy's journey towards co-parenting. So what is this whole aspect of parenting?
Parenting. Okay, thank you very much for having me, Winnie. parenting is about raising a good citizen, if I can just say a citizen of the world, not necessarily just a country citizen.
Yeah.
But you want to raise a whole person. You want to raise a child in the sense, in knowing that they're going to be part of a wider whole. It's not, they're not alone. So we don't want to raise a child who thinks they're the king.
Yeah.
You know, you want to raise a child. So parenting is really just someone coming alongside. It could be a single parent, it could be two parents, but raising this wholesome child.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now you see, for so many people, especially couples, right? I want to believe that most of them get into a relationship hoping that things will be okay and will be able to raise this child in a conducive environment, if I can say that, so that they can thrive and become responsible citizens. But sometimes some things happen, and that is not the case. And most of the time, you'd find that it's the kid that that suffers. So can we just address very briefly in terms of what sometimes happens that brings about conflict that ends up putting adrift as far as these two people who fell in love now falling apart?
Okay.
Yeah.
Part of it, Winnie, is how people come together.
Okay.
And why they come together. You know, there are people who get married because, hey, all my peers have gotten married, you know. There are those kinds of marriages where you feel the pressure that everybody around me, everybody who's my age has gotten married. And so the next person that comes and you think you can make it, you go ahead and do it and go ahead and get married. There's pressure from families.
Yeah.
You're a girl, you're getting to your 25 years, you're in your 20s, and everybody starts saying, hey, what's happening?
Yeah.
There's no
Bellini.
Exactly, you know.
Yeah.
And as a mother, I might start saying to my daughter, hey, you know, I want grandkids. When is this going to happen? So there's that parental pressure. There is pressure from family, from friends, from everybody who is like, you know, oh, when are you getting married? And today, I think the pressure is still there. But maybe the younger generation, the generation that we have parented, that I have parented, I'm part of, are getting married later than, say, we got married. Because maybe some of us are not putting that pressure in, or maybe because the children want to marry somebody who they feel is going somewhere. I've got a few relatives who have said that to me. Auntie or mommy, you know, you don't want to marry somebody who's going to be a deadbeat dad.
Just for the sake
or
of
just
being
for the
married.
sake of it. So sometimes it's how they come together, what reasons they have to come together. Sometimes that love is not love. It is that, you know, you've been, you know, introduced to one another. And I've actually been across some of those couples who have been introduced to one another by friends and have ended up saying, okay, because I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 30s, let's try and make a go of this. Now, you haven't gotten to know each other, you haven't gotten to build a relationship, you have not really even gotten into the point where you're talking about, what do we want? Do we want children? Do we not want children? How do we want to run our lives? So you're just getting into this blindly and hoping, because you are brought together by friends,
that things will automatically work. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and even marriages which have started in love, there are other things that battle, that are thrown in your way, you know, when you get married. Because you have the wider family. Maybe the parents on one side don't like the in-law that has come. Maybe the other side is saying, oh, this one is taking too long. And sometimes you don't know what these two have come to. You know, a couple may decide we're going to get to know each other for 5 years or 3 years before we have children. And because it's not something that you're telling everyone, you have families now saying, hey, that one is barren. Now what did our son bring home? Oh, that one is this, that one is this. This puts pressure on the couple. So it could be a myriad of things. I'm just mentioning a few,
just a few
where you find that people will, the relationship will break up because of what's being thrown about. It could be even jobs. Maybe the one person earns more than the other, and particularly when it's the lady earning more money than the gentleman. If they haven't come together, if they haven't talked about it, you find that it might bring issues later, where this lady is probably also showing this guy, hey, I'm bringing bigger bread
Something
home.
to the
So,
yes.
you know, I also need to do this.
Okay.
If really there is no harmony, a lot of things will come. And that's why my advice would always be, make friends first, be friends.
Okay.
Because out of friendship, you will be able, even when things go wrong, to still have a relationship that you can work through the things that you need to work through.
You know, this thing called friendship, because a lot of people would say, but we were friends, and then we liked each other, and then maybe we fell in love. So when it comes to friendship, like how deep would you say the friendship needs to be before maybe deciding to take it a step further, right? And you'd answer that in just a moment, but for now, let's talk to Ivy. So Ivy, you were married before, but then again in 2020 is when the separation happened, right? So can we go back before 2020? Because from your story, there's a lot of things that happened that somewhat contributed to, you know, the separation that is in 2020. So can we just go way back? And I'm nosy, so I just want to know. So how did you guys meet? And, you know, under what circumstances, based on what Jiri was saying? Because sometimes it's different on how people meet nowadays.
We met in campus.
Okay. Campus love.
Campus love. And,
all right.
As we were talking about having a deadbeat dad, a goal-oriented person, I looked into this person's whole being, and I felt this would actually be a potential person for building a life with. And so, things happened, settled in. But there's one thing that everyone should understand. Every marriage has problems.
Oh, absolutely.
Challenges that maybe some go through, some don't. Some live up to 60 years and still get out of the marriage.
Yes.
So, I'd say I don't want to also disgrace the individual, because by the end of the day, this is still the father of my daughter.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I acknowledge that there's so many things that happen.
Okay, but then so in 2020 is when, like you said, this is it. This was, I was done.
Yes.
Right? What happened?
Well, in a nutshell, things became toxic. So you find that if you're not full, then you'll definitely not raise this kid as should be. So you'd find there's so many mothers who find themselves blurting out, shouting, being, you know, the mental breakdowns. And for me, there's something that really, let's call a spade a spade.
Okay.
We've all seen families that go through stuff. But for me, the last straw was when it became violent. And I think that is a space that no individual should succumb themselves to in the context of, we need to raise this child within a family unit,
setup.
as a unit.
Physical violence, emotional violence, all of the above. All of the above. Okay, all right. And Moses, again, let's talk to your story, because most of the time, and I'm so happy, first of all, that you're here, because most of the time we usually see it's the women who are open enough to talk about this, because again, there's a lot of stigma when it comes to men and, you know, what the issues that they're going through. So for you, again, you're married, right?
Yeah.
All right, and then again, something just happened, and it was like you admittedly said, it was your fault, right? So take us back. What happened?
First of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me to the show.
Thank you for coming.
Honorable mentions to Mr. Jeff Dindi. He has a YouTube channel called Present Fatherhood, which actually advocates for fathers to be present in order for the family to thrive. So mine dates back to campus.
Okay. Oh, campus.
Actually, the same campus.
No way. Wow. Okay.
So it's 3 years ago. I met this love of my life. So we ended up starting a child.
When in campus?
Yeah.
Or after campus?
Immediately after campus.
Oh, immediately after campus. Okay.
Yeah. So we were good. Everything was rosy until my infidelity led to things going haywire. So, but actually, she gave me two options.
Okay.
One, she told me she'll be a mannequin, and you know what mannequin, just a statue there, everything rosy, the love, for the PR gimmicks, we took photos and everything.
Yeah.
And two, she actually told me, or we can go our separate ways, but raise the kid the right way. So, because I was still clinging to this love, I opted for the first option. So we tried, but it didn't work.
Okay.
So I later came and found out that she has moved on, and this really tormented me. So I had to delete my social media accounts and everything, because that's where I found out that she has moved on with another man. Yeah, so in a nutshell, that's the story of what happened and
how you came about to
Yeah.
co-parenting.
Yes.
Okay, when you, again, let's just first of all understand co-parenting, because listening to their stories, of course, it all started with love. We loved each other and we were solid, and we knew that this is the kind of partner I want to spend the rest of my life with. But then again, somewhere along the line, something just happens and we're no longer together, you know? So in terms of then getting to that point where you have to co-parent, can we just first of all understand what co-parenting is all about and what does it entail?
Okay.
Yeah.
So co-parenting is where you are, two people are co-parenting. They could live in the same house, just like he said,
Yes.
where he's, you know, the wife said, I will be the mannequin. We'll be in the same house, under the same roof, but we really have nothing else. There is no intimacy, there is nothing. So they'd be living in the same, under the same roof, but they are both parenting the children or the child they have brought, right? Co-parenting could also be where they are separated, they're living in different spaces, but they each decide that they will come together for the sake of the child and raise this child together. So the child may not be living with both daddy and mommy, but the child still has daddy, still has mommy, and there are things they might even do together.
Yeah.
You know, their co-parents who even go on holiday,
Yes.
even with their other significant
Spouses.
others who've come into their lives after that. So it just depends on really how badly the breakup has been. That can really be a very bad effect on the children who are raised.
Yeah.
So co-parenting is the two deciding, no matter what, we're still parenting. I'm a parent, I want my share of my child, and I want my share of the child.
Of the child as well. Do you have like different forms of co-parenting? Or let's just say custody. Do you have like the different forms of the same, or it's just one and the same thing?
No, there are different forms. And really it all depends on, first, the relationship that was there, that love that was there. Is it love big enough to carry them through these difficulties? Like Harvey said, no marriage is without problems. No marriage is without issues. So if it's been a very toxic breakup, this toxicity goes on even to the co-parenting, where agreeing with each other becomes very difficult, where, you know, one parent will fault the other parent, the other, you know, and they always dredge up all the things, the mud or the murk that was there in the beginning when they broke up. So this affects the children, and this is where we, you know, children might have developmental issues or such, you know, any kind of issues. There is, and that is now the highly conflicted kind of co-parenting. Then there's a parallel. Parallel is, okay, I really don't care for you.
Yes.
And I don't care for
Whatever
you,
happens.
but we have this human being or human beings that we must raise. So we will do it civilly. They don't really talk to each other. They don't get into each other. It's your day for picking up the kids from school and then having them over the weekend or whatever they've agreed on, because there is that agreement. Co-parenting, you're agreeing. I keep the kids all week, you take them weekends. Or every other weekend is yours. Or, you know, they're going to live with you, but whenever I need them, I want them. So it's an agreement that they have to come with. That could be even something that's mandated by the court or a mediation person. You know, mediation is probably the way to go these days because it's faster. So you might go for mediation and then you agree there and it becomes
The
legally
times,
binding. This is who you're going to be. I will parent from Monday to Friday. You take over the weekend, and then every other weekend I want the child. mainly maybe because of school. You want your children to continue where they have been because you want to consider those children. And if they're old enough to even be part of the conversation, they need to be part of that conversation because children don't want to leave their friends behind.
True.
Especially now that mommy and daddy can't see eye to eye. And, you know, sometimes even the children themselves will say, can't you guys live apart, you know, this is too much.
We see that
so
a lot,
you
yes.
want actually to be very amicable. Then there is a collaborative one where you actually sit, agree, and you're still friends.
That is dependent on how the relationship ended?
Exactly, and how it was even the beginning. And that's where I was going with that friendship thing, that if you have been friends with somebody before the intimacy and all that, you're more likely to be able to carry them on as friends forever. And you find that whatever happens to them affects you as well.
True.
Whatever happens, you know, either way, they do come together. It's not one of those where you met, fell in love, you know, it's just love, and do everything, one follows after another.
Yes.
You've gotten to know this person. You know how they think, you know what they do. So when you are that way and you break up because things happen, in the West you hear a lot of people saying, oh, we're no longer mutually, you know,
we don't feel the same way.
Yeah, we're not in the
each
same
other.
place, and we can no longer do this, but we don't hate each other. We've not fought. It's not infidelity, it's not anything. So they just agree to let us separate. So they sit down, they agree, and those are the ones who are most likely to actually set the right boundary.
Yes, when it comes to co-parenting and make it work. Okay, so then Ivy, for you, so that particular day, 2020, first all, like you said, physical, emotional abuse was involved, and you decided, this is it for me. Did you leave? Did he leave? What exactly happened on that day that you found yourselves, you know, separated?
Well, for a woman, we don't just wake up and leave. We start living from way.
Oh, yes.
Way before.
Yeah.
We're just physically there. Emotionally, mentally, we are no longer part of this union. So you'd find that on this particular day, you have thought through everything, the challenges. What happens if I leave? What will people say? What will, you know, all the shenanigans and the noise. And there comes a time, if it's a matter of life and death, you always get to grab your life. So for me, there was no sanity, no peace of mind, no nothing. And I decided, let me choose myself and the kid over all
everything
the noise.
else.
Yes.
Yeah. Was it, I want to assume it was like one of the most difficult decisions you've had to make?
Yes, it has. No person gets into a marriage and thinks of leaving tomorrow.
Yes.
And everyone, you know, having a grand wedding, everything officiated, it's not a come we stay. We've done the whole thing as should be, as per the books. But one day you wake up and reality sinks that, oh no, whether I like it or not, I just have to.
You have to make the best decision for the baby.
Yes, for the baby. Because again, you also look at it, even after leaving, I still had that subconscious telling me, your baby needs a dad.
some sort of guilt.
Yeah. What if you're just being selfish?
Yeah.
So that's when the co-parenting was brought to the picture.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, we can't stay together, we can't coexist. But could we channel all this energy to this particular being, owing in mind that she's a clean slate? And she becomes...
She has nothing to do with what happened between you two.
Yes, and she has absolutely no idea of, you know, our behavior and our character is all based on perception. People should be in a marriage, so okay, it didn't work. So she's not aware of that, that people should stay in a marriage or do 1, 2, 3. So it's for me to try and structure a different cognitive aspect, whereby, people don't work out, but life moves on and your dad is still there. So that's when I reached out and said, okay, let's not even talk about what happened.
Whatever happened.
But can we introduce you to this person's life? Because it took a whole year of just wanting to be mentally okay.
So no communication?
Absolutely none.
Absolutely none. Because there are instances where the child is like, can I speak to daddy? So for this whole year, no communication from your child to the dad?
Yes. For me, it was, I'd say it's a blessing in disguise, because she had not really known how to speak.
Ah, okay. Oh, she was still
Then
very young.
kids at that age forget things really fast. Whether you're the dad or the mom, they will forget you. Yeah? But the most surprising bit is, I thought so. Because the day we met, I could feel the energy, and I thought, wow, I was actually depriving this kid of a very magnified bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Manjiru, can we just analyze because Ivy again is bringing up very important, things that a lot of people sometimes go through and don't know how to address. Because we've also had a lot of people say, yeah, there was a lot of things that we did not agree on, maybe violence, either emotional, physical, whatever it was, but I could not leave because the child, I thought the child would be affected. So most of the people choose to stay in a relationship because, again, you do not want the child to suffer. Can we just get to understand better what Ivy is saying?
Yeah, and let me just go back to what Ivy's just said about thinking. And this is what a lot of people think, that a 1-year-old or a few months old child will not miss that other significant other. Because I'll tell you, even a baby in utero gets to hear the voice
They've not met the person yet?
Other person.
Yes.
And the minute that person opens their mouth, it's like, oh, I've known you all along, kind of thing. And they veer toward them. And you will find even a child who doesn't know its father, for instance, and they meet.
There's just that bond.
Form a kind of bond. There's just something that pulls. So and I think that is the difficulty most women have, that when they feel this sense that I am depriving this child because of my selfishness to want to go, that is how it's placed. I'm not saying that's the case, Ivy, but that is what people will tell you. You're being selfish. You're being selfish. But if there is violence, my problem is, what are you saying to this child? If it's a girl child, it's okay to be hit, baby. You're going to be hit. And if, like, I didn't grow up knowing violence in my own home. My parents were not violent by any chance, by any sense of the word. So for me, violence would have been new. So if I'd been in it, and, when you go to your mom, your aunties and all, they say, look, we've all been there, chill.
Siwe wa kwanza kuchapua.
Siwe wa kwanza. And huyo ni mzuri afadhali. He's providing. He's doing ABCD. Da, da, da. So stigma starts there. You start telling yourself, now if I leave, what's going to happen? What is the world going to think about me? What am I going to portray? What am I portraying? But then the question is, if you don't leave, what are you telling your child? That it's okay, so we continue this? Or the boy child will start thinking, even me, I can hit. My daddy hits. So he gets into relationships, he starts hitting. So it's the message, rather, and that is what Ivy did. She thought, this toxicity is too much. Because when there's a lot of that emotional abuse, even that month-old child will sense it.
Oh, yeah.
Even as they're breastfeeding. We can actually cause that child to be depressed because the mother is always depressed, which means she is not able to be present to the child. She's just there to provide, to nurture as best she can, but she's not there.
She's not there to.
So that is the danger of not packing up and going when you need to go, because you are fearing what the world there is going to judge you on.
Exactly. Okay. Moses, let's talk to you again, because like you said, it was my fault, right? And at this point where, of course, the infidelity was discovered, take us through the emotions that were there at that time. And first of all, how did she discover that you were cheating?
This era of digital, everything happens very fast, and people find out even the things you do behind curtains. So she came and found out that I was dating another woman, and she was very mad. She threw away everything and just left with the kid.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was high conflict kind of co-parenting, because when she left, I was trying to amend things and make things right, because it was like the first year of our daughter. So we were just trying to make things happen and everything. And she didn't look back. She just went. So we were trying to do this long distance kind of co-parenting. She is another county, I'm in this county.
Okay.
But as a man, I was always of the opinion that it's the dog that wags the tail, not the other way around. So I was setting the rules.
Yes.
Like, I want to talk to my daughter now and everything.
And when I want to talk to my daughter, I should talk to her.
Yeah, I should talk to her.
Okay.
So then there was intervention of my mother-in-law who came. She was very calm with the situation. And she made me understand a lot of things. Yeah, so she came and told me, your daughter doesn't have to suffer because of your...
Yeah, what happened between you two?
Something that happened between the two of you. So I took it personal with me. I took it personally, and from that day, I think I changed everything about the perception about everything. Because at the end of the day, this is the mother of your child. So you have to accord her with the respect that she needs.
Deserves,
yes. So from that day, everything was like, I came to understand that you can't force these issues about co-parenting, because she's actually the one who has the baby.
Yes.
Yeah. So for you to talk to the baby, but
you have to talk through her.
Yeah, you have to talk through her, because we were used to these video calls and everything. So whenever my daughter wants to talk to me, she was like, "Mom,
can I talk to daddy?" Okay. You also said a lot of things as far as those. It was somewhat like a conflict type of co-parenting. I'd want to understand more on the same, but for now we need to take a break. I know how you say, but I came to realize that, you know what, she has the baby, so I need to support. You know, it sounds so easy. I'll be like, you know. So I'd also want to understand more on the same, but keep tweeting at NTV Kenya at Lubembe _ when you remember, it's all about co-parenting, and the question that we're asking you is, what rules would you set if you were to co-parent? We'll be looking at your feedback. There's so many other questions that we have as far as co-parenting is concerned after this break. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. Glad you're still with us. The show is Your World, and today it's all about co-parenting. And we just want to understand, so how then do you make it work? What are some of the dynamics, that actually involves when it comes to co-parenting? And is it possible to actually co-parent without having like these two, feelings? You know how people usually say no feelings attached, eh? Is it possible to really co-parent with # no feelings attached? We are talking about co-parenting today. So if you have any question, or if you are co-parenting and like to share your story with us, your experience with us, are you making it work? Is it difficult? Do you hate this person so much? Do you love this person so much that you can't let them go? It's a lot, okay? So feel free to interact with us at NTV Kenya at Lubembe _ Winnie, or you want to call in, feel free to also do so. The numbers are down on your screen list. Just understand co-parenting and how do we make it work. And of course, in studio is Wanjiru Mbogori, who's a therapist, Moses Okuku, Okenyo fitness trainer, as well as Ivy Samigi, who is an administrator, Divine Mercy Wellness Center. So thank you, Sana, for staying with us. Moses, so something happened. There was a case of infidelity. And like you said earlier on, of course, your ex was very, very mad, you know, and threw things away and decided to go. So here you are, you as a man, you're like me. Now I want to take charge of this relationship. So I decide when I want to talk to my child, and you have to be there to make sure that I speak to my child. But before that, let's just address, because I want to understand this, there was a lot of bitterness and hatred and madness, you know, because how dare you, first of all, cheat on me, right? Can you just take us through that experience in terms of how did you feel? First of all, understanding that, you know what, I've hurt the person that I love the most, the mother of my child. How was it for you and for her as well?
Actually, when I did it, I just thought it can be forgiven that easily. But later when she did it, she moved on and had another man. I actually, it actually dawned on me that what's good for the goose is actually good for the gander. So I decided that it's fine. Everything that has happened, you have moved on. I can't come between you and your man because I respected that. Because I was actually planning to go to make amends with the family and everything. I also told my family about the issue that had happened, and they were for the idea that we go and reconcile.
Try and make it work.
Yeah, but I think it was too late, so nothing happened. Yeah, so I had just to cope up with this co-parenting, but from long distance.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You tried to ask for forgiveness. She would not have any of it.
She didn't have any of it.
Okay. So you, again, thinking about how whatever you've done has affected your family, your immediate family, that is your partner and your child.
Because she actually introduced me, and it was like, it was official. It was almost official. Because she came to know about my family and went to her family, and it was a cordial relationship between the families.
The families, they both knew you.
Yeah, but when it happened, she didn't even tell the family that what happened. It was like we were hiding something. That I was pleading for her not to tell the parents, because I was actually going there to explain everything that happened and also forgiveness from their parents. And because her parents were good people, like they were church going and everything. They were of this idea of reconciliation. Everything happens, but you should make amends and come back together. Because they actually love me as the son-in-law. So, but it happened. So
so do you go through those emotions of guilt, shame? You know,
at first, yes. But you don't. But you can't live there forever.
True.
So life must go on, and the moment you start showing weakness to your daughter, then I don't think it will be fine for this. So you have to fight, look for everything, because this kid doesn't know about what you did. She just wants the fish, she just wants to go out and have fun. So you have to step up as a man.
Wanjiru, I want you to talk about that, because what Moses is saying is a lot of things that we've had a lot of men say. Listen, me ni mwanaume, I have to, you know, I do not want to show any form of weakness to my daughter, because this is someone who looks up to me as the dad. I am the strong one in the relationship. Is this right to approach it that way? Because at the end of the day, we're human, right?
We are. We are. And at the end of the day, the pain and hurt he caused, he may not have come to terms with when he decided, I'm the man, you know, I want this and I want that. He didn't quite get to the point where he understood that I have let this person down. He started off by saying he met the love of his life. So that was the love of your life. And that is probably how you portrayed it to her. And she took it that way. Now, all of a sudden, boop, I'm no longer the love of my life. If you're having an affair, that person is more important to you than I am. So approaching it from the thing of I am a man, rather than, even if the forgiveness was shelved, even if she had moved on, there was still room to say, look, I'm sorry this happened. As we move on, can we move on the same page in regard to this baby? So that this baby, even though this baby will probably be being parented by the other person in the mother's life, daddy is still daddy. I have two daddies. There are children who are actually happy to say, I have two daddies, and they both love me because of the way they're handled. But if even that other relationship is toxic, then even his being a man does not help this child, because he doesn't understand what is going on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's always good in co-parenting for parents to come together, lay down the rules together. What works for you, what works for me.
Okay.
Fine. Today we are in the digital world where you can actually call every day and speak to your child every day on video. They see you, which is great. But if the family now, the mother and the child are doing something else, please understand this is a bad time. Yes, it's your child, but this is a bad time because we are also having another family day today with someone.
Yeah.
And you know, so it's a case of really just agreeing with each other about what works for you, what works for me.
Yeah.
Let's work this thing together. It's not just about what works for me. And you're not going to be weak to the child. You know, babies, you know, just see their daddies as the sunshine. You know, my daddy is big and strong.
Yeah.
You know, my daddy
And
does
my dad
this,
will
my
beat
daddy does
you.
this. It is you to paint that picture for
Yes,
her.
for
It
her.
is not necessarily for you to show your might or, you know, like argue with, you know, and I hope you never get to the point where you say it's your mother's fault that we're not together, because that is the problem.
Yeah, and we say that. I mean,
Where
especially when there's like a lot of bitterness and hatred.
Exactly.
We find that one partner would try and paint, you know, they alienate this other partner and be like,
exactly,
they're very bad, they're this, they're that, so that the child grows up hating, you know, this other parent. We'll take a look at then how do we set those rules, you know, set these boundaries and make sure that we make sure that this works for the sake of the baby. How do you do that? But for you, Ivy, so this 1 year, right, took some time to just heal and understand yourself and just loving yourself. But you went back thrice. Is it during this period of this 1 year? Or what happened?
No, it was before now.
You
This
decided to
1 year
go.
period.
Okay.
Yes, because why did I go back? One, those relatives telling me, "Ata sisi tumepitia hiyo." Two, there was me and looking at this child and thinking, okay, I'm practically starting from scratch. Am I ready to get another man? Am I ready to start?
The whole process is difficult.
It's
Huh?
so-
Starting to get someone, starting to date.
I mean,
What do you
don't-
like? What do I like?
The small talk.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's already way beyond. Then there's also the other thing of, okay, am I going for the divorce or do we need this break? Or there's so many things that, so yes, I went back thrice.
Right. In a span of what?
In a span of 1 year. And natoka, I pack everything, go home. We talk, hello, you know.
I am sorry, Shetani.
But you know, there's that love, which is undisputable for every person who's been in a toxic relationship. But then there's also this point where everyone plays a role. For a relationship not to work out, both parties have played a role.
Absolutely.
There's what I had done, there's what he had done, and one way or the other, we try to smoothen things out, and then you hit a kanini, akifanya kitu, you go like, oh, bado hujaacha wewe.
Pack your things.
You
go.
do something, it was like,
Yeah.
maybe I should have thought twice.
Yeah.
Then again, you pack,
go.
Yeah. So it was not. So I remember making a joke out of it and actually saying, nitashindanga in and out the bamboo forest, and it was time.
Yeah. Okay. So going back, going home, coming back, going home again. During this period of packing and then coming back, did it somewhat, because there's some people who say, yeah, I came back and this person changed, became the best version of themselves until something happened that triggered the thing. So for you, again, you mentioned sometimes they would do something and you're like, aha, kumbe wewe, you know, but during this back and forth, did he at some point just change and became like a good partner and a good father to your child?
Yes, he did. And I did. We both did. But then there comes a time that small devil reminds you, and everything shuts down and you change again into something else. So my feeling was, once you've moved out because of fasting, you either get therapy, you go to Mrs.
Mbogori, yes.
Mbogori, or just leave. If nothing works out, because you can't erase something that has already, it's a scar that you will live with. So you can't tell me that you'll be dressing up every day and not seeing the scar. So you'll forever make reference to whatever happened in the past.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So, Anjuru, then how do we resolve this? Because again, listening to both of them, of course, there's hurt, there's bitterness, there's, I do not really like you. What kind of a person are you? You know?
Yes.
But then again, you also have a baby together. That every time you look at the baby, you see your partner.
Yes.
One way or the other, you will see, your partner. So then how do you resolve whatever feelings that you have, first of all, with your partner, before even deciding to co-parent? Because there's some people who might co-parent and they're still toxic towards one another.
Okay. Like Ivy says, even trying. If you have maybe gone through therapy is one way you could do it. Or talking to somebody, not your relatives, because they're also invested.
Yeah.
My parents, my relatives will think, oh, our daughter is suffering. My son is suffering, is the victim here.
Yeah.
So family is not the place to go to. It's not where you will get your help. Go to somebody. Maybe if you're church going, you've been going to church together. Maybe not even the pastor sometimes, because the pastor will be telling you, you need to make up.
Yeah.
But you've reached this point where you've decided, okay, it's toxic. We are destroying this little baby that we have. So go for help. Go for mediation to a stranger who doesn't know you, who doesn't know anything about you. Lay everything on the table. Then you are able to now come to an agreement with them. Because now you're saying, we want to co-parent. But, every time, like Ivy says, there's that little devil that doesn't let you forget what happened.
What happened, yeah.
So if it's ended on a toxic note, that would be very difficult. So that is where you find, like, in the case of divorce, you now go through your lawyers who will tell you, you will now write up your demands, their demands, and you come together and agree, okay, this is how we're going to parent. And those are the ones who don't hardly talk to each other. Guy can come pick up his child and the mother does not even open the door.
Yeah.
Because they really cannot stand each other. Or even if they can stomach, just, okay, let me see my baby to the car so that you're sure it is him that picks up the child. You do that.
Okay.
But there is nothing, there is no relationship whatsoever. Even though, every so often there is that little pang of, I love this guy, I love this woman, there was that. But you're not able to even verbalize it because of the toxicity. So if you are able to talk to each other, then it's easier to sit down and draw up and decide, okay, I'm keeping the child for this length of time, and you're keeping the child for this length of time. There are people who might decide 1 week with me, 1 week with you. Others will be, no, you, because you're closer to the school or you're the mother, you keep the child for the week. Then we share every other weekend.
Yeah.
And then whenever there is a need to call on the other partner to say, I can't do this, I'm in a meeting, please will you pick up the child? They're able to do that, or the children. They're able to do that without any issues. So a collaborative one where you've gotten over. I mean, you need to heal. Like you need to, like Moses was about to make up. I would say he needs to first grieve that relationship that was the true relationship with the true love of his life. Grieve that in order to be able to move on. And by grieving, I'm saying just go through the steps of grieving like you grieve any other loss, and then get whole, and then move on. And you're able then to face the partner and say, look, okay, now we can do this. And she needs to do the same. Even if she moved on as well because of the hurt, she needs to get back to this relationship was real. She was offering being a mannequin once, and maybe if she was there, maybe we can always work through it. That's what we say to each other. That's what Ivy was saying, that it will work. So she comes back and they work, and then, the old person comes out.
Somewhere.
So it makes sense to first get help. Heal yourself first. Before you think you can heal that partner, because you can't. But if you heal yourself, if you're in a good space, whatever is thrown at you, you'd be able to handle. And you'd be able then to come together and decide, okay, this is what we're doing. Because at the end of the day, this child who is there, even that 1-year-old, actually sees things. And one day they tell you something. You allow them. they will tell you something
Yeah.
about how they feel about your relationship. And that's why I was saying, do not throw anything to this. Don't use this child to talk about your ex. Don't use this child to say mamako, babako, you know, that kind of thing. No, don't do that.
Don't do that to the child.
Throw it at each other. You can handle, and not in front of the child.
But sometimes it's difficult because, again, remember this time, I think that is why you're saying, listen, heal fast. Because if you do not heal, there's a lot of emotions and hatred and bitterness. So, of course, you'd want to use this child and paint this picture about their other parents. But really, like you're saying, don't do that to a child.
No.
Do it amongst yourself, not the child. Okay, let's hear what you have to say as far as the topic of discussion today. And it's all about co-parenting. And we're asking you, what rules would you set if you were to co-parent? Once again, what rules would you set if you were to co-parent? And then Oscar Chess Kinywa says, co-parenting is the key thing in this era. There is a lot of breakups. Okay. And then someone else says, this is Charlo Apollo says, you're speaking exactly on life issues where 90% of youth make mistakes and contribute to broken marriages thereafter. It's good advice, which needs to be told in length to people, plan and meditate rather. Okay. And then Winnie Ella says, the main thing here is a child to grow, whichever way you can raise a child, both of you. All right, so keep tweeting us at TV Kenya at Lubembe_Winnie. If you want to chime in, that is through calling, then do so. The numbers are down on your screen and let us know how you feel about this whole aspect of co-parenting. Or if you are co-parenting, how is the experience for you and what are some of the boundaries that you've set to make sure that this works for you, your ex, and the child at the end of the day? So Moses, a lot of conflict, but again, you were able to just, go through it and make sure that it works. But now it was like a long distance sort of co-parenting. How is it? She's in a different county, you are in a different county. So how do you make it work?
It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's the most difficult thing I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Because most of the time the kid wants to go to play, and she is asking for the daddy, and I'm not there physically. So even if you try and send the money, it doesn't help. So the physical presence is what she wants. Like she'll complain to the mom that, oh, dad lied, dad is not coming. She doesn't even know the schedule or everything I'm doing right now. So yeah, it's the most difficult thing someone is doing.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
So
Did you have to sit down and maybe see how things work? Like for instance, you'll be calling at this time only because now she moved on, right? That becomes even more challenging, right?
Number one, you have to respect the boundary because this is a person who moved on in another relationship. Her attention is to the man right now. So you can't call late in the night wanting to talk to the kid. So those are the kind of boundaries you have to accept. And secondly, about the responsibility of the kid. You can't leave the responsibility of the kid to the new dad.
Yeah.
I don't ascribe to that school of thought. This is your daughter. You should raise her the way a dad will raise a kid, because the other man is also taking care of the wife, and so I think the responsibility shouldn't change as a man. So yeah, you actually have to take the responsibility. If she lacks something, that I think that's your problem. You should know how to tackle the problem. No excuses, no nothing. Just work towards attaining the goal of the kid. Yeah.
Okay. So that is what you've had to do.
Yeah.
Identify a certain call at time. Then maybe you have to call. What about visits?
Visits maybe when I'm off or when she closes the school. I can go and take her to come to Nairobi and we spend some time together. Because that's actually the thing I'm planning right now. When there'll be long holidays coming. So I'm actually planning to go, take her and come. Yeah.
Okay. And stay with her for some time before.
For some few months,
yeah. But now you have to somewhat communicate.
Yeah, fast.
In advance.
Yeah, it's
and say, yeah,
you just don't go and knock the door. And
be like, hi, I'm here for my daughter.
It's a procedure. I have to talk to the in-laws and everything. I want to take my,
Oh, wow.
So those are the rules that we set.
Yeah.
So yeah, So some few weeks to when they are closing, I should actually call them and tell them,
hi,
yeah,
I am
remember
coming.
the promise, yeah.
Is it difficult? Because now it's like you're asking permission from, like you're saying, you have to talk to the in-laws and then maybe talk to your ex first of all.
Because you have to understand something.
Yeah.
Like even the kid has to accept that she's coming to stay with you for some time. And maybe the mother can help you to convince the kid to come. Because she's going to a new environment, meeting new people and everything.
Yeah.
Something that she was not accustomed to. So I think that's the role the mother should play. Because some of the mothers don't even like the idea. Yeah. Because if for my case she was in Nairobi, it will be completely different scenario. Because I could have gone and visited him during the weekends and everything. But you know, with long distance, you have to plan accordingly. Yeah.
Yes.
You don't miss steps. You just can't take a bus to Kisumu and take your kid.
Yeah. Okay. And then before you, so after all those things back and forth, you've decided, you know what, this is it. The best we can do is co-parent, right? First of all, how was it just coming to terms with the fact that, number one, your child was used to seeing the dad every day, but now it's like, you know, there is a schedule, right? Was it difficult for them? Was it difficult for your ex as well to just accept the fact that I can't see my child every single day?
Yes, because I said there's a lot we did, and there's still, whether we like it or not, despite the devil and all that, we can't erase that part of our lives.
Yeah.
So when they met, or rather when we met, because it was the first time of we coming back together after a whole year, there was so much. Despite I having thought I'm over this thing and now I'm ready, I saw this guy and I was like, wow.
There's still something.
I still
feel something for them.
I was shocked. It's a shock. And I remember, you really have to stay cool, keep calm, because you don't understand whatever is happening to you at that moment. And then the kid is there. You can't keep abreast and like robots.
Yeah.
Like, hi. You know.
Here's the child.
Yeah, here's the child. It's been nice.
Yeah.
All the best.
Yeah.
I'll see you when you're done. It doesn't work like that. Remember, I saw him and it aroused so many things. From the love to the hate to the why to the all those things were running through my mind at that moment. And then he is a kid. I have to live through this period because this guy has not been there. And I need to make her feel comfortable enough to be with dad. Yeah. Yes, I have seen that there's still that bond, but I need to show her like it's okay. So in this it's okay moment, you'll go for a date here, a date there. It's not your date, but kumbuka.
So you're like third wheeling on this date.
You're a third wheel. And I third wheeled for 3 dates.
Yeah.
Then I realized that this is massacre.
Yeah, it's bringing in a lot of...
Like, this is massacre.
Yeah.
Why? Because you see a totally different person. There's what you left behind, and then there's this new reformed being that is doing new reformed things. And acting in a very new and you get so much attracted to this thing and forget what you came from.
Yeah.
So that was when I cut the cord and decided, okay, you can use the potty, you can, if it's too much, you can use your diapers. Daddy knows how to change your diapers. Go.
Okay. Wanjiru, can we just address this in like a minute, because we need to go on a break right now. Those emotions, those feelings. Because again, like we said earlier on, this is someone that you shared a lot together. And then you go, let's say, moments without seeing them, and then the next time you see them, you really want to go back, you know?
Yeah.
How do we deal with this?
You see, we always leave a part of each other.
Yes.
Of ourselves in the other person.
Yeah.
And they leave a part. That is what is never forgotten. The heart will flipper and all. And that's why I said, you need to heal from what has been to where now you can even see him, even with that flutter, you can still make him a friend. And, you know, just treat him like, yeah, you're my baby's dad. We need to be cordial with each other. But there's more than cordiality. There is friendship.
Yes.
So you now build another relationship, which is friendship. But that doesn't always go. You know, you'll always say, I remember somebody saying to me, we're sitting somewhere, an elderly lady, and she says, this was my husband, but he left me. But she was serving him. She was running around like she would have been as a wife.
Still married to the person.
Yes, and this had been years of separation. Now we attend the same function, and she introduces me to, this was my husband. He left me for somebody younger, but I still love him. And she was serving him.
Okay.
So that is there, and you should not feel guilty about it. It's what it does to you. What does it then do to your own emotions? What does it do for you going forward?
Yeah.
How is it? You know, and that is why I said healing first.
Yes.
Heal from your emotions, heal from those. But that car attachment,
it's
that
still
one,
there.
even though there is a devil, there is kind
There's
of
like an angel there as well, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's take that break. But of course, when we come back, we'd also want to address the fact that, fine, if you were to move on, because like Moses said, of course, the ex moved on, right? Has a whole new relationship. So then, how is that for the child in terms of, so do you have two mummies? Do you have two daddies? How do you maneuver that? And what sort of relationship do you then establish between your ex, the new spouse, and the child as well, right? So of course, we'd also want to address that. Keep tweeting at NTV Kenya at Lubembe_Winnie. Remember, the hashtag is your world. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. Last phase of the show, and it's all about co-parenting today. So we're asking you, what rules would you set if you were to co-parent? Once again, what rules would you set if you were to co-parent? Or if you are co-parenting right now, how is it for you? Is it working? Is it not? Do you hate the other person? Do you still like them? Are you cordial? That is the question that we're asking you today, is what rules would you set if you were to co-parent? Keep tweeting at NTV Kenya at Lubembe_Winnie. And like we said earlier, or if you want to call in, the numbers are down on your screen. Feel free to do so. And let's just understand the whole dynamics as far as co-parenting is concerned. So Wanjiru, then how do we, first of all, parents, right? Exes. Set aside their differences. Like you said, it's all about healing. Heal, first of all, so that you're able to raise this child together. But now, when it comes to moving on, right? Let's say the partners decide, yeah, we clearly agree this thing is not working, and we move on, find new partners. And establishing that boundary, first of all, with the new partner, and now the ex and the child. How do you do that? Just to make sure that all these people, because they are, all of them are in your life, yes, right? How do you then make it work for all of them?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think what I have seen work with a few couples that I know is where whoever is moving on introduces their new significant other now to themselves, to their ex first.
Okay.
Not the child, their
All
ex.
right.
Let them get to know each other. Let them get to know, because it has nothing to do with why you split. Or even if it were, even if this was the reason they broke up. Now you're meeting on a different platform. And you talk about it. And you talk about, especially where you are already co-parenting. Now, what does this mean for our child? What is going to happen to our child? And because, remember, this child also should be given the right to feel that they're in a safe space.
Yeah.
And most often, children will feel safer with their moms because their moms are more present, so to speak. Not always, but sometimes, in some cases. So if the child feels safer with mom and feels safe or safer with dad, and then now they are moving on, they're bringing somebody else in, you're already now coming between that safe space and this child, because they don't know who this person is.
Yes, yeah.
So get to know them, get to know each other, get to know what you're about. You won't learn everything, but at least you will feel maybe that gut feeling, that sixth sense that we talk about, that intuition, will tell you this person may be good to my child. We are probably more judgmental because we're looking at them and thinking, what can they do for my child? What are they going to be telling my child? So, and this is where it will be good to have set the boundaries, that what's between us is between us, right? The child doesn't come in. When you have got this significant other, this is how much I will allow this significant other to do for my child.
Yeah.
And especially like, is it about dropping this child for their play dates, for their what? Will I allow her to set play dates with my child, with her friends?
Yeah.
Simply because she's got friends. That is very important. Because you need to feel safe. You need to feel safe about your child, or else the next time you meet,
oh yes,
the explosion
like
happens.
a devil, like
You
a
see,
devil.
Like a devil, is always there. Because you're already hating that person,
Yes.
that significant other, because they've got the love of your life. Because don't forget, there's always those feelings. So when you get to know each other first, you get to know them, you get to size them up, basically.
Yeah.
They size you up.
Yeah.
Then you know you can do now what Ivy did.
Yeah.
Tag along, be the third wheel.
Yes.
But at least you are watching, you're looking to see what is going on. What is going on with this person?
Yeah.
He's, and even your ex, if your ex is absolutely honest with you, and you're able to trust that they're being honest this time, you're able to release the child happily.
Yeah.
Just like she said, you want to let go. You want to let go and let the dad feel they can raise this child.
The child.
But now that other person who's come in, who are they?
But at what point then do you introduce your child to your new spouse?
I think after you've really understood that this is going to be a spouse.
Okay.
Because there are children who talk about, oh, kulikuwa na auntie, jana kulikuwa na auntie huyu, auntie mgani, huyo simjui, si yule alikuja na daddy the other time. No. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So if you're having a relationship, you've decided you're moving on, please date outside. Not in front of the child.
In front of the child.
Don't bring that person in case they're not the right person.
Yeah.
Let there be somebody who comes in. Because now this child begins to think, Sasa, these aunties who come, what do they do? Who are they?
Exactly.
And last of all, if you're going to even allow them to sleep there, it's not right. Because then the hostility starts. The child now, the space has already been, has become toxic because there's a third person I don't know. It's not my mom. Who is she? Who is he? He's not my dad.
Yeah.
So at least get to know that you are ready before you bring the child into the picture.
Yes.
Maybe, when you agree and you've decided we are actually going to tie the knot, then you can probably have a few dates out there, like go to the park, go kick ball. Do something outside which is not so, and introduce him or her, and then take it from there. The child themselves might tell you, she's nice, or he's nice, or
I don't like them.
Don't like them.
Yeah. And then what do you do in this instance? Okay, we'll address that in just a moment. So, Moses, have you met this new person?
No, I've not met him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But did you have to somewhat set boundaries as well? Because like you said earlier on, you're not comfortable this person taking all the responsibility as far as your child is concerned. But for you, did you move on? Are you still searching?
I'm still searching, but I really respect the mom.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things she's doing behind my back that I really applaud such things. Because it reached a point where she said, yeah, enough is enough. Like, we are done, but let's focus on the kid.
Yeah. Let's not continue to hate each other.
Let's not continue hating each other and everything. Because at one point I was just stalking. Whenever she posts a picture, I screenshot and everything.
Yeah.
To feel that I'm still connected. But I later realized that I'm not doing anything like it. So I had to delete all the social media accounts and everything. Because I used to spend a lot of time just talking where she is, where she's going and everything. Because I thought that is my way of connecting to them.
Yeah. Okay.
But at the end of the day, if you just screenshot and show people that this is my kid and you ain't even talking to them, then it becomes a big problem.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's like you're hiding some wound and soon enough it starts smelling and everyone knows that there's a problem here.
There's a problem.
Yeah.
I like that because I think when so many people find themselves in that position, especially where the partner is like, fine, we're done, I am moving on, you're still holding to that hope that maybe, just maybe we might go back together. And then you start stalking them. You start, sometimes it can get toxic, right? Where you start unaenda mpaka mahali wanaishi trying to figure out what happens, right?
Oh yes. Yeah. You find that the one person who's moved on, the other person is busy sending emails or texts. You're breaking a marriage. You're breaking a marriage. You know, I'm married to that person. I'm married. You split and you went your separate ways. Yeah. But they cannot stand the thought of you moving on.
Moving on and being
even
with
if they've
else.
moved on, even if they themselves are dating.
Yeah.
And they still think there's a chance. I'm just dating in the meantime. See, aliniambia, you go and I go. So I'm just, but we will eventually come back together. Or we will eventually get married.
Yeah.
So you find this, that kind of stalking is not just talking. You're also sending word through channels.
Yeah.
You're getting even your friends to tell this person, you are breaking a marriage, you're a home breaker.
Yeah.
Then what? So, and it's that's where healing really plays a good role. Because then even though you hurt, there's always going to be that pain that, okay, I didn't make it with you, you are the love of my life, but you've moved on, I wish you well. To be able to wish them well and move on, they also need to know that they have your blessings.
But very few people get to that point where we're like, it did not work, but we're okay, we're good, let's make this work. Because some people have had who say, I cannot stand the fact that my child is being raised by someone else and I'm not there constantly. And we'll talk about what impact this will have on a child. But Ivy, so third-wheeled for a while. So what are some of the boundaries that you had to set, or some of the rules that you had to set to make sure that, it works? Because I am somewhat still attracted to you, but again, we have to make this work for the sake of the child. What are some of those things that you had to do just to make sure that, the child is raised by both parents separately?
Okay. So, being a single parent at the moment, there's the whole nanny issue. I don't know who doesn't suffer from nanny issues.
Yeah.
So there came a point I stopped bringing nannies because again, I'm also looking at different faces, different timings, and then again, your sanity is inatolewa kidogo. You wonder, okay, maybe I'm the one with a problem. Baba alien, wasichana kila mwezi. There must be a problem with me.
Yeah.
So I decided to do a complete cut-off, and it was just my daughter and I.
Okay.
So in the morning we leave, I enrolled her into the play group. She used to go, she loved it. Yeah. So during this co-parenting, that's when I brought the dad on board. And the rules were pick particular days, go pick her from school, spend time, then bring her back home.
Okay.
And you're done. Yeah. The other rule was, let's do a budget. There's the schooling and there's the
upkeep.
And everything. But, there's a part of co-parenting that people forget. It's not about the finances and the physical presence. It's about the effort. It's about so many things. Because when he's wiring in the money or picking her up from school, there's the random call. Scheduled probably on Monday and Thursdays when I'm going to school. In between Monday or Wednesday, a call comes in. Your daughter she needs to, and I have to stop working, rush to get the kid, do everything that needs to be. Then there's the moment where the nanny just decides.
Me, by the
and
way,
then you think,
I
think it's time who you are. Because it's either they wamechoka or wewe umechoka. One of us has to leave, and it's definitely not me.
Yeah.
Unaelewa?
Yeah.
So when that happens in the morning, you also have to think: do I go with this kid to work? Do I call my mom? Who do I talk to at this particular moment? Because I have to salvage so many things.
Exactly.
There's the job. There's we by ourselves the whole week running. Another challenge that came about was now, okay, how do I fit in this schedule? In the morning we leave, I drop her to school, Gioni, make it in good time to go pick her from school, make sure that she is clothed, washed, eats, sleep at the right time. Yeah. So that's a bit of co-parenting that people don't understand. And of course there's the nights that you don't sleep because she has a fever, she has what, she just doesn't want to sleep.
And maybe you can't call the other partner because they are in a whole new relationship.
They can't come over and say, okay, acha nikusaidie. No, it can't. So most times, time without number, you'd feel so shortchanged. Shortchanged to the point where you'd say, since I'm the one taking up more of the effort, then this budgeting, there's no way it can come to 50-50, my friend.
Because one is doing more than the other.
I think now you take 80, I take 20. But now since if there is no agreement and you don't gel enough, then that will always bring an issue and the co-parenting won't happen. And once that doesn't happen, my advice would be just quit the whole thing. Because it's still taking you back to a marriage setup, but now outside the house.
Yes. And Wanjiru, then what does this do to a child? Because then it's like, you are used to being with your both mom and dad, and then they're no longer together, so you have to sometimes go to dads, sometimes go to moms. So this somewhat kind of like instability or instability, let's say, for the child. What does that do to them?
It is, and it can bring them a lot of psychological issues, can bring them a lot of trauma, depending on how it's done. But if the child is old enough to understand that, look, you know, daddy and mommy cannot live together because we are not able to at the moment, but some days you will go there, some days you will go there. There are times when that child may not want to go to the other parent. Please allow them. Because if you allow them, it means they're not feeling so safe there. They're feeling safer with you. Or the child might say, can I just go, instead of the weekend, can I just go spend the day and come back? Let them do that. This is where those boundaries come in. This is where that co-parenting is, and that is what it's about. That because you decide, okay, between you it doesn't work, but you have this common bond here. This child here comes first. What does she want? What does he want? When you set rules together. So if candy is not allowed in this home, let it not be allowed in the other. Because that again, you're causing the child to feel
someone
like
choose a favorite.
I need to, you know, my daddy is my favorite, my mom is my favorite. You don't want to do that. You want to be common. If you're going to discipline, if the child has done something, regardless of who's living with them, you call the other parent and say, this is what's happened. When you are the one looking after this child for the greater part of the day or the time, and the school knows you, please involve the other parent. Say, yes, we co-parent. There is daddy too. And this is the only other person who can come for my child. In the event that I can't come for the child. So when the child is, you know, being accoladed in school, you know, is getting accolades of this or that, academic or sport or whatever, come together.
Both parents are involved.
Yes, come together. So that the child knows that I have a daddy. Because, you know, children are cruel. Let me put it that way. Because it is like, wewe daddy yako ni nani? Mimi daddy yangu anakuja, we daddy yako
yuko wapi?
You don't want your child to go through that. Let them, they don't have to announce. And you'll find, I've found with people that I know, most of those children who are being co-parented tend to find each other. And they get to talk to each other. And then it's a bit normal that somebody else is going through this. But often enough, this child, and I know one mother who was told, you don't know what my life is, being shuttled from parent to parent.
Wow.
Yes. Now, when that is thrown in your face, it makes you sit up and think, what? How do we do this so that we can remove this? And that is why you find children who are being co-parented more than often need help, need counseling, need that affirmation, because it's about their identity. It's about their feeling whole and feeling like, yes, I am as good as that person with two parents. Because you'll find where there is maybe one parent who's called to school and told, oh, your child is receiving a prize, come, and he's too busy to do that, or she's too busy to do that. The other parent is there, or that, or, you know, like Ivy is saying, when this child, when she even has something and she can't pick up her child, and you call your ex and say, please, can you do this for me because I'm not, and he has a million excuses, then you probably go and unleash it to this child, because you'll do your best to get this child. So what are we doing to these children? We are harming them if we are not sitting them and allowing them. And the first rule there is, don't berate your partner in front of the child.
The child, yeah.
Whatever, even if it's funga mdomo chugam, you know, or just bite your tongue.
Yeah.
So that this child does not hear the rot. Wait for them to go, or go out, tell the child, and don't go there and act, because this child will see
this,
and they know, they say, you know, this will never stop.
Yeah.
This will never stop. I can't be a normal kid because my parents cannot agree. So you find where parents actually have come together and are collaborating, and they are together and they are able to drive everything away. Even if they hate each other, even if they've got significant others, they are still able to bring this child or children together without making them feel like, oh, you know, so look at the way they're treating their child, I'm not their child.
And I'm not their child. Okay.
Yeah. Because if you want to move on, you will bring in other children.
Oh, absolutely.
How do you want this child to have been? This child needs to be grounded. This child could be the firstborn on both your sides, and therefore the others who are coming are probably second-borns or third-borns or whatever. And you want your due place. You want these children to grow up not saying, ah, that one is not our relative. I don't know that
Foster
one.
that relationship with the other
that
children.
one is, you know, my children joke with each other and say each one says, I'm the one who was born, the others were adopted. Now that is real when it comes to a relationship like this. And it's very painful. And it's something one can grow up with to their adulthood, to where they are still looking for that belonging. Because sadly, they don't belong anywhere.
I like that. Okay. And then, so the question might be then, for this new spouse, so then how do you come in, and again, how do you foster that relationship with this child that does not feel like you're somewhat trying to take the space of either their mom or their dad? How do you do that as now the new spouse who's coming into this relationship? But before you answer that, Moses and Ivy, so if you were to move on and let's say remarry, right? What are some of the boundaries that you'd want to set with your ex and now the new spouse? Because the child is at the center of this, right? So what's some of these boundaries that maybe you'd want to set to this person and the ex?
I think, for me, I think the best thing I'll do is just to make them know each other. Like, this is the mother of my kid, and you're the new spouse. So the boundaries exist when I tell you that I want to talk to my child. See, like this thing of women. Many of them don't like each other. Like, you've taken a guy and everything. So I think you have to explain to them that this is the normal new. So this is what should happen. I have the right to talk to my kid. You see, like, she has to understand that I have a kid with another woman. And before even I met you, I already told you about my
Make sure you
daughter.
disclose it early. Okay.
Because if you leave it as a secret, then ultimately things will go sour.
True. Okay. All right.
And most importantly, learn how to communicate, because that's the problem. Because like me, I'm not good at communicating. Like, if I have money, say if I have money, I send. But when I don't have it, I don't communicate. So there's this puzzle, like, what is he doing? He's neglecting her daughter and everything. So I think communication is the key. Like, just communicate. If you don't have, just tell. Because it's weird how, like, it's a weakness that I have, that you don't accept that you don't have. So you don't communicate. See, then it reaches a period that it's 6 months, 1 year, and everything.
You have not said anything, and you're not saying anything.
So it's like you just left and walked away. So I think communication is key. Whether you have or you haven't.
Or you don't have. Okay. All right. Ivy, for you, what are some of the boundaries, rules
Boundaries, rules. Number one, my daughter is completely off. Yes, I do have a daughter, but it'll take time before you meet this daughter.
Okay.
Because there's some flings, they last a month and you go like, ugh.
I don't even like this person.
Kumbe, maybe it's just the scent,
Yeah.
the voice, or the. But now that also brings in another factor, whereby after you've come from a marriage, separated, and you want to get into another relationship, because marriage doesn't just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You become more intentional on who you're picking as a partner, be it a fling or a lifetime investment. You become very much intentional.
Yeah.
There are things that you would brush off as a red flag back then, but right now it's not just my decision. I have two people to think about. And this is not a moment where I have that moment of, okay, we can try. No, we are not trying it out. I will not keep on introducing a different face to my daughter.
To your child, yeah.
Today, tomorrow, the other day. How will I get to know that these two are compatible? They are outings. I mean, currently we go out with friends, we go out with family. So why not just go out with this person as another friend and see whether these people will correlate?
Have somewhat of a bond.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Once that is established and you get to see, and of course listen to how these people talk about your kid. Because yes, you have a child, but if they never bring up this child, then that's a by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a theoretical part of their life.
Yeah.
But if this person is also interested in asking, how is the child faring on? How are you today? How
can I help? Maybe?
Yeah, you listen to this person and you think, oh wow,
Maybe.
this person is actually interested in my extended arm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so be more intentional is what you're saying.
Very intentional.
All right, and then when you, so to just cover it all, because we literally have like 2 minutes to go. So in terms of then this new partner, establishing a bond, a relationship with this child, and also those people who deny the ex the right to actually come and spend some time with the child or even see the child. What would you say in like a minute?
One, I think it's wrong to deny unless they are so abusive, they're also abusive to the child. Unless you expect that something is going to, this person could harm your child.
Yeah.
If there is no reason other than the fact that you two broke up, it was an acrimonious breakup, you know, you have a toxic relationship, you don't even gel. This child will one day ask you, who's my father?
True. What would you tell them? So
what are you going to say to them? You can't say your father died, because one day somebody, some good Samaritan in the family will come and say, you know, your father is so and so. You know? So I feel it's always good to be honest with your child, be upfront with your child. Talk to them, explain to them, even if it's a single relationship where the people didn't come. But now this person is saying, I want to help you raise this child. I want to co-parent. It's always good to let the child know who the father is. Let the child decide that this man, I do not want to bear his name themselves. Because then they can never fault you. Because I have seen somebody actually go haywire. A few, not even one, several children. Because the parents said, oh, your father you're a one-night stand, so I don't know who your father is. And then they pop up.
All right.
That is another big issue.
Big problem. But what about this partner who's coming in like 30 seconds?
Partner who's coming in, like Ivy says, get to know him first. Now those red flags where you see that narcissist and then you think, no, I think we can work it. Once we get love, we'll conquer that. They're not red flags for nothing. Take your time. Don't just rush. Don't rush into introducing them. Like she says, go out on an outing that is normal. Let's see if that child will gel with this person before you come and introduce. And even when you introduce them, let them get to know. Be intentional about it. That now I'm introducing you to somebody who I would like to live with and who will be here. And then, like I was saying, you do not insist, okay, now when we get married, he's your dad or she's your mom.
Let the child make that decision for themselves.
Let them build the relationship.
The
child themselves will decide, can I call you mom?
Okonai will die.
Okonai
Okay,
will
so the
die.
child is the most important part. All these other things, make sure that you work in between yourselves. Make sure that the child realizes that they're loved. It doesn't matter whether the dad or the mom is here all the time. And that is where we have to say goodbye. Time flies. But Wanjiru Bogori, therapist, Moses Okuku, Kenya fitness trainer, as well as Ivy Sambingi, administrator, Divine Mercy Wellness Center. Asante sana for coming by today and sharing your stories as well with us. And Wanjiru, thank you for the insights that we had today as far as co-parenting is concerned. Now we know better. And I hope that you've learned a lot from today's episode. So my name is Winnie Lubembe, wishing you a lovely day ahead. We'll see you tomorrow, and it's all about vegan, understanding the vegetarian, diet and nutrition. It's going to be an amazing show tomorrow. So see you then. But until then, God bless and stay safe. Goodbye.